Hello, my name's Adam Grandison. You've probably seen my videos about various issues such as affirmative action, social issues mainly, but also issues concerning our government and society as a whole. Um, this video is pretty much to just discuss our similarities, not only as our relationships as individuals to the nation as a whole, but us as individuals to the entire population that's on this planet, human beings. And if anything, from this video, I want you to see that our relationships, to one another in communities is no different than our relationships to one another, our states to governments, and that's, our nation is no different than our relationship to this united set of nations that exist on this planet, Earth. And how did I come about this? I keep reiterating this. I'm a scientist. I'm a environmental chemist. I care about the environment. Therefore, I care about everyone who's that's in it. Who because I improve environment stuff. So it's pretty fundamental, and if anything, I want you to see that this stems from a genuine desire for the improvement of the well-being of everyone. It's couldn't have been any simpler than that. So where do we begin? I'm an environmental chemist. I used to work out at Princeton. Was, as I said before, the Bacardi lab. Great lab. Does solar panels, fuel cells, anything with electricity. Pretty much the fundamentals of chemistry. Electrons. We make atoms, bond with one another. We join stuff, right? That's pretty much the fundamentals of chemistry. And the great thing about it, we work with solar energy. Obviously that's terrific for the environment. We get tons of solar output. Let's put it to good use. And that's what the Bacardi lab has been doing for a very long time. The cool thing about the Bacardi lab that sets it out, that makes it stand out as a research group, it is the fact that it's actually converting, CO2. If you read our papers, go ahead, read our papers. We do cool stuff. We convert CO2 into useful materials, fuels. Matter of fact, so that's what we do. It's kind of turning lemons into lemonade. So we take CO2, obviously the bad stuff, and we convert it into something that we can use actually. Help eliminate a lot of this poverty that's all too spread throughout the world. I mean, we got CO2. It's no different than poverty. So we're definitely trying to do our part. But there's tons of other stuff, solar cells, things like that. It's related. Solar cells, we instead of making the fuel, it takes the fuel and uses the fuel. It's an engine, but more efficient. What other stuff? Where do we use fuel cells? Where'd that idea come up? Let's talk about it. The first time, Dr. Bacardi, in lecture, he told me about where it came from. came from, you know, NASA. The fantastic, program that was integral in the space race. Um, Put us on the moon. If it's, you know, fuel cells are good, good enough to get us there. They were good enough to, improve the human condition in the United States and the world around. You know, yeah, it's it just shows that how, governments, doing what they should do. They using funds, given by the people to improve, the economy so that they can make more money and distribute it, to people who need it the most. Allow the people who need it the most, you know, to be more mobile. Whether we're whatever your background, we're rural America. Everyone wants, you know, the dream. This to pursue happiness. Okay. So yeah. It's. I mean, and contrary to what many people believe, I'll go ahead and say it. You know, I that's NASA. It's might people might think it was for the space race was all about um, you know the military component, ICBMs, things like that. But when you think about it as a whole, what really did it bring? You know, um, it brought innovation. It brought innovation. It improved society. Okay, so because you talk about the space race. Obviously the comparison or the analogy people use. Computers, right? Computers were never the same after NASA took them up, right? You always give them the amazing example that your iPhone, your iPhone, it has the same power that the computers were used to get us on the moon. That's incredible. Shows the power of human ingenuity. Okay. Um, it just shows that what we can do when we put our minds for good. Um, what else? So there's probably tons of other examples. We're talking about space race satellites, right? Where how do we connect with one another? Yeah, it's kind of hard to do that without beaming these signals up into the up into the space. That's just a very, very, a network is up there. We have, believe it or not, we have tons of satellites up there. Okay, tons of them. And communication would be a lot more difficult. Your TV, it would not be. You would get a lot less channels. You'd be banging on. You'd be calling up your Comcast a lot more frequently if the space race that was out there to help us out. So thank NASA for your ability to watch the World Cup. and thank and let's be real. Let's thank the cosmonauts too. I mean, because what's fun a race, if you're just running by yourself. I mean, but seriously, who's in charge now of our connection to the International Space Station? We valued their ingenuity of developing rockets in an efficient way to get American astronauts to the International Space Station. all nations are taking an interest, you know, in innovation, science, for the continuance, of the our species, it's it's how many pictures have you seen from the ISS, the International Space Station, from Earth, or showing Earth, as one, a, a united, a joined system, a system without borders, borders that have you know, only have led to territorial disputes. Okay, um, we are we are joined in many ways, whether you can see it or not. Um, and let's face it, it was innovation, the International Space Station, that does that. It's science, progress, let knowledge grow from more to more. Um, it's science. It brings a tear to your eye. Okay, so my Star Wars. We love our science, our science fiction. But is it really science fiction? That's what many people thought. Imagine, people coming together. Actually dreaming of a brave new world. Right? Heard of that book? A new society. Carl Sagan. All those dreamers, right? What's really holding us back? Uncertainty, skepticism, pessimism. You know, as a scientist, if those are our guiding principles, we wouldn't form these things called hypotheses because we're too scared to propose them. We'd be too scared to propose something that like a photon, the idea that light is a particle, right? A little crazy, huh? Till that, to Descartes. Forgive me, my ability to pronounce, languages, or but the philosopher. Okay, he definitely he did study, photons or the particles or the properties of light. But and obviously, if you know anything about duality of matter, it does behave as a wave and a particle. So, are these things that we conceive in our heads, into climate change, geoengineering, coming together, not as a nation. Well, first we have to come together as a nation, but then come together as a united set of nations, to for innovation, for progress, to continue peace, right? Peace on earth. Another silly dream that someone proposed, right? Um, I do not think it's silly. Nor do I think that, the impending, climate um, disaster is silly. Okay? Um, we can downplay it all we want, but it's been there. It's the potential it's been there. Our current levels are with CO2 are at 400 parts per million. That's 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 unbelievably high. It's going at an exponential rate. It's no longer um, it's keeping up. It's picking up. And I think that's a little bit more important than you know any minor bickering that minor bickering. Okay, let's any well let's be real. It is minor bickering. Compare our existence on this planet. Everything else. Can you say something that's more important than that? We can call it silly, but yeah, it's not. Um, recently I studied a book on geoengineering. And I was like, it was great because obviously as an environmental chemist, I went to think on a global scale. So what else am I going to do? I'm going to study geoengineering. I had a friend who probably, and her, her professor probably encouraged me to, pick it up. And it was like, she was just talking about a conversation she had with one of her friends, and she was like, one of her friends told her what she did, and she said, you know what I study? And she pointed down to the earth, and she said, I study that. It was like, but yeah, what else is more important, right? We if we really cannot see past our differences, which science, really has shown that there really aren't too many. There's a lot more similarities that we do have than, differences. Skin color, I mean, yeah, it really is only skin deep. You know, um, you know, it's the thing about it is, it's I can talk all day. I can go on. But it's really up, to you as an individual, as a community, as a state, as a nation, as a set of United Nations, to stand up for progress. Progress, to end poverty, which in turn ends, corruption and all the things associated with it. Stand up for good. Just as simple as that. And it's not too hard. Okay. I think that's about it. All right. Peace. Oh.